welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make a unicorn cake, but I'm making him super spooky, ready for Halloween. So let's get started. I'm going to start by icing my cake, which I've already baked. So on my turntable I'm going to put a piece of non-slip matting, a board for me to work on. This isn't my final board. Another piece of non-slip matting and my cake card, which my cake is going to sit on. Now add a little bit of buttercream to that, just to stick the cake down. I'm going to put the bottom end down. And this cake I have already cut the ever so slight dome off. And we're going to fill it with more buttercream. Now my kids are not the biggest fans of buttercream, so I'm not going to overfill this. I'm just going to do a nice thin layer. And I'm using black buttercream for this cake. And if you want to find out how I made my buttercream so black, you can hit the link there and you can go and watch the video of how I made it. And then my last cake, I'm going to tip upside down so the bottom is on the top. I'm going to put a nice even layer of buttercream on the top. Then I'm going to add a little sheet of parchment that's slightly smaller than my cake, and an acrylic disc. I'm just going to pipe all around the bottom of that disc, and this is going to help it stick to the cake. So I'm going to take another board now and I'm going to pop that on top of my cake. And I put one underneath and one on top and then flip my cake over. And now I'm going to attach my second acrylic disc with just a little bit of buttercream. You don't want too much. Just squash that down. And then I'm just going to make sure that my two discs are lining up by putting my bench scraper flat against the cake board underneath and just moving it across. I'm going to pipe another layer of buttercream all around the top to stick this board on. And then I'm just going to go around and fill in the middle. And you can do this just with a spatula if you want, because I already had it in the piping bag, it's just a bit easier. So my cake's fully covered now, there's no gaps and there should be no crumbs, so I can start scraping my bench scraper. And I had a quick tidy up because it's a little bit messy. So with a bench scraper, you want to hold it flat against your board, and then you don't want to hold it up against the cake like this. You want to hold it on sort of an angle like that. So you're sort of scraping along the cake, sort of smoothing it rather than scraping it all off. And as you scrape, you might only want to do a little bit at a time. That's absolutely fine. And then I'm going to be scraping off any excess buttercream to stop it dragging further along the cake. So at this stage, I'm not really trying to get it completely smooth, although it is getting smoother. I'm trying to make sure that I've got all the excess buttercream off. So I've got big lumps between my two acrylic boards, so I can chill it and then we can add another layer. There we are, that's looking pretty smooth. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge now for about 30 minutes for it to firm up. I'm going to wash my tools and then we'll come back and put a second coat on. And from how smooth it's looking, I think that'll probably be enough, but sometimes you do need to go around 3 times. The cake's been in the fridge for about 30 minutes. I can touch it now so it's nice and firm. And while my cake was in the fridge, I just covered my cling film, my buttercream with cling film, and I put that directly onto the buttercream because this will form a crust otherwise, which we don't want on our cake, not yet anyway. So I'm just going to fill in any gaps that I see. I'm just going to scrape around it. Okay. So you could keep going round and round this if you wanted to get it perfectly smooth. But because of the design, I'm going to be piping over quite a lot of the cake, probably about a third of it. I'm quite happy with this. Yeah, that looks lovely. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge now overnight, and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll take off the discs. You don't have to leave it in the fridge overnight, that's just my preference. It's getting a bit late now. But usually about 2 hours at this stage I would leave it in the fridge so it gets nice and hard. My cake ended up staying in the fridge a little bit longer because I was a bit poorly for a couple of days, but it's absolutely fine, and we're going to take the acrylic discs off now. So I've got a mug here with just some boiling water, and I've got a very thin spatula, an offset spatula, that I've been heating up. And I'm just going to pop this between my buttercream and that board that we had on the bottom. I'm going to slide that round. And lift that away. I'm going to scrape off some of this buttercream. Then I've got my final cake board here, which is a black marble, and I'm just going to put some buttercream on here so I can stick my cake down. Pretty much in the centre of the board. And then we're going to flip it for our last time. So I'm going to take one hand on top, one hand on the bottom, and flip it over. And then remove that. So I'm going to reheat my spatula. And then I'm going to put it, we want to try and put it above the greaseproof paper that we added. Now the top edge is a little bit more difficult to get off. So just keep heating your spatula and taking it in and out. Going around as far as you can until it's too cool to keep going. That'll come free. I take that off and then remove our little bit of greaseproof paper. So I'm going to clean off my spatula. We don't really want it too hot for this stage, and then we're going to tidy up our top, which looks a little bit messy at the minute. So I've got some of my spare leftover buttercream here. I'm basically just going to do another little thin layer on the top just to neaten it all up. So I've got some piping bags made up with some green icing, a little bit of purple and quite a bit of orange. And I'm going to be piping on a mane that's going to start sort of in between the eyes and go all the way back down. So I'm going to start with the top. I'm going to start with my orange, and I'm going to be doing sort of roses with my buttercream. And this is quite a stiff consistency buttercream. You can do larger rosettes or smaller ones, really whatever, just to fill up the space. And this, I should say, the orange is a 2D tip. The green is a 1M. They're with both Wilton tips, and this is just a closed star, a large closed star tip. I've already made my bits to go on the cake out of fondant, so I'll just play that for you now. So I started with the horn and I made it into a sausage shape, and then I just sort of tapered out both ends, leaving the middle a little bit fatter. Then I folded it in half and then twisted it together to give me the horn shape that I wanted. Just trimmed off the end, and then I put in 2 cocktail sticks to be able to insert into the cake later. A skewer would probably work out better, but I didn't have one. And I just left it on a foam pad to dry. Then I moved on to the ears, so I just rolled out some black sugar paste, and I used a heart cutter to give me the right shape for the ear. And then I made 2 of those. And using the next size down in the heart cutters, I cut out 2 orange hearts and just trimmed off the bottom bit to get me the right shape. And then I glued the orange part into the black part of the ear to give me my unicorn ears. And then I just folded those into a U shape and let them to dry on my foam pad. Then I moved on to the eyes, and I used circle cutters here to get the right shape that I wanted. And you can use whatever sort of size cutter you need here. This was a very small cake at 6 inches, but obviously if you were making a large one, you could use a larger circle cutter. And I just flicked them up at the end then to look like eyelashes. Very simple shape. And then I'm just steaming my unicorn horn here with a cake steamer, making it a little bit damp, then adding on my glitter. And by making it a little bit damp with the steamer, it ensures that the glitter will stick. On the smaller pieces, I used a little bit of edible glue. You can just see I used a little bit much there, and I was just wiping it off. And you can actually set this glitter with a little bit of edible clear glaze, which will stop the glitter falling everywhere. And I'm just doing the centre of the ears, which is a bit tricky because of the black, but you'll see in a minute that I just clean up the edge of the black with a little bit of edible glue on a paintbrush. That picks up any loose bits of glitter for you then, giving you a nice neat finish. I love the glitter. I think it just adds so much sparkle to the cake. Here now I'm making one of my little bones as one of the toppers for the cake, and I just moulded these by hand. So basically a sausage shape, and then leaving a bit of a bulb on the end and then squashing that down with my finger to give that bone shape. Really quick and simple, but quite effective too. There's no Dresden tool there to define that groove a little bit more. And now onto the eyeball. So I've got a mould here, and I'll leave the link down below. So I just moulded that out with fondant, and then I'm just colouring the eye in blue. You could obviously do brown or green or red. And then I fill in the centre with a little bit of edible black paint, and then a little bit of watered down food colouring for the veins. So these look really quite realistic and spooky. I do like this mould a lot. It comes with a finger and a little mini brain as well. Push that on, and then I will use then our eyes. So I've made some little bones now to decorate our cake. I'm just going to dot those around, and I've also made some scary eyeball. Your buttercream should be soft enough to just push them in, and then they should stick for you. The cake's looking pretty spooky and very pretty because it's a little unicorn. So I'm just going to finish it off now with some sprinkles. So I've got some of these large sort of batten sprinkles, which I really like. So because they're black, I can add them into the lighter colours. And then just to finish it off, because it is a unicorn, we're going to add some edible glitter. So I want to try and get this just on the main and not on the black. So I'm going to dip in, and this is Disco Mango, which is like an orange, and it's what I used on the horn and the ears. Our unicorn cake is all decorated and we're ready for Halloween. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you do want to make one of these for Halloween, please remember to tag me in your picture either on Instagram or let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to see. And if you did enjoy the video, please leave me a big thumbs up. And if you want to see any more of my videos, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all next time. Happy Halloween!